Yeah, you can if you want. I don't mind.
That's my saying.
Right, so me and my friend are in town today. We're just doing a bit of Mother Day shopping and things, and we do a bit of documentaries here and there for our channel online. We just wanted to get a bit of footage of the banks. Obviously, with all the scandals and stuff been going out, we just wanted to get some footage and stuff. Went into HSBC with my camera, asked them if I could film. They told me no, so I left. We was outside filming. She came outside, told me that I can't film. I explained to her I was in a public space now, and she said I'll have to report you, which I said that was fine. And then police officers turned up. We was quite polite to him as soon as he jumped out. To be honest, we didn't even know they was there to see us. He just stopped, got out. He's like, "What are you up to, lads?" And we just
told him.
We just told him straight. We're just filming, for a documentary of the banks and stuff. And then he says he claimed the Police and Criminal Evidence Act and told us that he was going to search us. I told him I don't consent to searches. And he said, well, he's got the power to search us anywhere. And I asked him if he was standing under his oath, under common law, and he said he was, always. And I said, so what crime are you here investigating today? And he said that you've been filming blah blah blah. I told him it's not illegal to film in a public place. And then he said the Police and Criminal Evidence Act. Could you explain to me what the Police and Criminal Evidence Act is?
Well, Section 1 of PACE gives police officers a power of search under the Police and Criminal Evidence Act in certain circumstances. Now, you've just told me by your own admission you've gone to film a bank.
Yep.
Right? You've spoken to the staff member.
Yep.
Who's clearly concerned. And I say she's clearly concerned. Was it she, he,
she,
whoever it was
she asked
clearly
me
concerned because they've said, I'm going to call the police. So straight away, we have an alarmed member of the public who works at a bank who's been alarmed by why you are filming that particular filming.
But we did explain.
Remember, it's a camera, not a gun, though.
Yeah. Okay. So, do people not sometimes pre-plan what they're going to do? So, we're not talking about it was a fountain display, with water coming out. You weren't filming a fountain or some flowers. You're filming a bank, and
I'm allowed to film anything I want in public.
Can I ask what the difference is?
Yeah, you are absolutely. But you've now caused this member of staff some alarm. She clearly thinks that there's an issue. I did explain to her why I was doing it. She said, "Why are you filming?" And I said, "We make a documentary online about the banking scandal." Well, we're having a sensible conversation.
Yeah.
And I can see that's not an issue. But what you've got to think about is how your actions. So you're telling me what actions have affected you. I'm now trying to convey to you how your actions could feel. And so you've gone in sort of quite, not being funny, you've got a baseball cap on.
Yep.
You sort of got, I think it was described having a scarf over your face, you sort of, for me, might look a bit oppressive for a member of staff who's in a bank thinking someone's coming filming, they've got the faces. I was also, because I've looked at the log that's come in, it says, somebody says we're filming for BBC, then someone says no, we're not. So it's kind of like, right, we all seem to be quite singing off the same hymn sheet as to what's going on. So now we've got a member of staff who's rung us concerned that there are a couple of people out filming as to what their intentions are, which immediately, for the police, because obviously we've got a duty to protect the public and premises and
big corporations.
Yeah, well, we have, haven't we? We can't. Unfortunately, we can't pick and choose.
Which obviously they are the public as well, and even though they're at work. But I mean, I get what you're saying with what I'm wearing and stuff. But I mean, I was quite polite to her, and I did explain why I was there. And as soon as she said you're not allowed to film in here, I left.
Yeah.
The thing is, it wasn't a breach of the peace.
No.
There was no peace broken, so it shouldn't have been even got to the point where the police was rung. In a sensible conversation. To be honest with you, it's a civil matter, as my friend has just claimed.
But the issue we have here is I'm not responsible for that member of staff's actions. What we're here to talk about is obviously the subsequent police action.
So what's you know that you said there were special conditions of this Police and Criminal Evidence Act to search me. What's the conditions?
Well, because if we think that you are you might be going to commit a crime, we've got a power to search you to see if you've got something with you. Now, you could have had all sorts of things that, that could be anything. To commit crime, you could have had a screwdriver, you could have had a balaclava to go into the night, you could have had a gun. We laughed about it's not a gun, it's a camera. But who's to say you haven't got a gun? We don't know, do we? We don't know.
Well, no, but you're not going to go search everyone, are you? Because then everyone could have a gun. That's not how it works. You've got to have reasonable suspicion, and I don't think that filming a bank is reasonable suspicion. I mean, what's going on in the banks and all that today? that, you know, with all the scandals about money laundering and all this lot, why shouldn't they be filmed? You know, there's no reason we cannot film them.
Can I
ask
ask
no
as well,
there is.
how come people like the BBC, the media, they are allowed to film without consent, without anything? They're
As
allowed
soon as
to
it comes
just
to
go
the
wherever they
independent
want.
photographers like us, we're not allowed, you know. Police are all over us.
Well, no one's saying not allowed, but we've turned up, we've asked some questions.
Yeah, and I gave him some great answers.
To be honest with you,
I knew the actual officer in question, and I say I know him. I've only come across him once before. And as soon as he jumped out of the van, I said to my mate Richard, "Oh, it's that nice police officer. It's the nice copper, the one that got on with last time. He was about the best out of all of them." And then he come out real friendly. He's like, "What are you up to?" And we didn't even know that he was there for us. He was just like, "What are you up to, lads?" He was just like, "Oh, we're just making documentary, filming banks and that." And that's when he come across and said, "Well."
But by the same token, he could be perfectly nice and charming and decent with folk, but he's got a job to do.
Yeah.
And our job is now, the bank have rung in concerned that you might be doing something. And we don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, so you come to find out, which is what he did. I explained
Yeah.
it. So where's this reasonable suspicion from there that I'm carrying any sort of weapon or firearms or anything?
Well, because you're filming a bank.
So
you given sort of cross-contamination stories.
Why wouldn't we film a bank? What's the big issue of filming a bank?
Well, because it's made the bank staff.
For starters, we're bringing attention to ourselves. So if we was going to, let's say, hypothetically, like this officer said, you could be robbing it, you could be there to stake it out. Well, why are we bringing attention to ourselves? We'd be doing it with covert cameras and slyly, wouldn't we?
Exactly.
Why would I be bringing attention to myself? I'm stood outside going, say no to the New World Order. It's just become a crime to do nothing in this country.
I can't give an account as to why
do you know
people
what I mean?
do things. There are a lot of things that go on in everyday Grimsby which I cannot give you a logical reason and explanation as to why people do things.
So
all I can say is that we've got a call from the bank who clearly, if they weren't bothered, they wouldn't have rung us, would they?
Well, what she said to me, is I've got to report it. She said every time anyone films it, he said it's our policy that I have to report it. So she didn't say she was scared of me or anything like that. She was quite nice, and she just said, "I've got to report it, that's all." I went, "Who'd you report it to?" And she went, "Our security team."
Yeah.
And I was like,
well, like I said, terrorist threats, bank robbing, all sorts of things. We don't know. I don't
the
know
banks rob themselves, don't they? Let's think about it. And the terrorists are the government that you work for. So that's the way I feel. That's just my opinion, though. But I mean, so do you think he was acting lawfully
I do.
today?
The problem is we can search a number of people on any given day and find absolutely nothing.
Are we policed by consent?
Sorry?
Are we policed by consent?
No.
We're not policed by consent. Are you sure about that?
Are you actually stating that we're not policed by consent?
We are policed by consent, yeah. So
Statutes and
we all have
by
to
consent.
abide by the common law of the land. Which,
I thought you meant was you searched by consent.
No, are we policed by consent? Which, yeah, we are, yeah.
If you say so.
Well, we are. Well, what's your opinion?
Hang on, we're here to sort out a complaint.
I'm just explaining something to you. Are we policed by consent?
Well, I'll go with you. What?
No, I'm asking you, are we policed by consent?
I'm not here to give me opinions on what you think.
It's not your opinion.
It's not your opinion. I'm asking you your job. You're here. You're a police officer.
I'm here to sort out a complaint.
Are we policed by consent?
All police officers, when they took their oaths, did they take the oath under common law?
Yeah.
To uphold the law of the common law.
Law of the land.
And also to keep the peace. Is that not true? Well, it is, and this is the complaint because there was no peace broken.
No.
There was no crimes committed.
We didn't know that.
And I don't consent to be policed, governed. I'm not governed. I'm a free man of the land. I'm a sovereign. So
both of our human rights
in dishonour.
We don't have to.
Both of our human rights was actually broken.
Crime doesn't have to be a crime committed. If we think you might be going to commit a crime, you might have something with you. We don't know. Did you have a gun? It transpired not. How would we know that? Did you have a balaclava to win the road ban? We don't know. How would we know that?
It's ridiculous.
Well, you can call it ridiculous. We have various powers we can use on various given...
I don't choose to be governed by this government. I think it's crooked. They kill innocent people all over the world. So I'm a free man of this land. I don't claim, I don't take any authority off anyone. As long as I cause no loss, harm or injury to another person, another human...
The minute somebody reports you for doing
filming,
something which
illegal.
they feel, obviously some sort of threat or whatever. No, it's not. But it doesn't mean that you don't have an effect on a person. I could walk down the street doing all sorts of things, which isn't illegal.
Just because it affects
but the minute
somebody
I have
else,
an effect, yes, but that's
doesn't
exactly the
make
issue.
it a crime or anything.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
So sorry, just hold one moment. So you're saying if somebody was walking down the street with, say, Tourette's, and somebody found the police, you could stop, search them, do them for a breach of the peace. Is that what you're saying?
Well, how would we know? How would I know?
Else.
How would we know at that point?
We can investigate
if somebody walks down the street shouting and swearing, and someone says, "I think that's ridiculous," someone shouting and swearing, do we go down? Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Might we lock them up? Yes, we might do.
Public order.
If we then find out that they're suffering from some sort of, ill health, well, that's a completely different scenario, isn't it? But we can only act on what's given at the time.
So do you think that he was acting lawfully through... I didn't consent to be searched, yeah?
Yeah.
And I told him I didn't consent.
Yes.
And I classed it, him was assaulting me by even putting his hands on me. I told him I was a peaceful person, I don't consent. Was he acting lawfully?
Yes.
Why was he?
Because we don't have to have consent to do a search.
Under what law?
So you're saying that we've got no human rights?
Under PACE, but...
Is that what you're saying?
No,
we've got no human rights?
No, but statutes, what is an act? Can you explain what an act is to me?
Section 1 of PACE gives us the power to do a search under the circumstances.
Can you explain what an act is?
No.
Why?
Why? What's this? What?
I'm just asking you a question, that's all. You're a police officer, I'm just asking you a question.
Yeah. Well,
can you explain me what an act is?
We're here to answer the issue around the officers doing the search.
Well, this is my issue.
Well, I've explained to you what that is. I've explained to you.
I've
explained to you what section the officers have acted under.
Yeah, no, I just want to know what is an act. Can you explain what an act is?
No.
Why is that?
I think this is a conflict of
interest. I think this is conflict of interest because he works for you.
Can we have somebody
external?
I
don't. Yeah, I'm not.
I would like because I think.
Why won't you answer the questions that I'm asking you? I mean, it's a straightforward question. I'm being
because we're
polite.
here to. You've asked me around why the officer's done this and do I believe it to be lawful. I've explained to you under what power he's done that.
Yeah, and you've told me that bit. I understand what you're saying there.
Right,
totally.
Okay, so then what's the issue?
I'm asking you now about what an act is. I just want clarification on what PACE is and what an act is.
PACE is the Police and Criminal Evidence Act.
I know what that is. You've told me. So what's an act then?
An act of Parliament.
Yeah,
Parliament says, here's an act, and this is what it is.
And is that done by consent?
What do you mean is that done by consent?
And this is what... Can you elaborate a bit more? Because I don't know, an act is what? Something through Parliament and it is what it is.
Passed through Parliament.
Yeah, an act of Parliament.
So an act of Parliament, I'll tell you then if you're not going to explain to me. An act of Parliament is a legislative rule giving the force of law through consent of the governed, yeah?
Brilliant.
Right. So if you don't consent to be governed, then how do you stand there?
No idea.
Right. Well, I'd like to know. So can you find out for me?
Find out what?
We just explained.
Listen, guys, I've explained to you that I'm really busy and I've got lots to do.
I understand.
You've come in to ask me specifically around an issue that's occurred today.
That's right.
I feel that I've answered that question. Around that particular issue.
I'm not
saying.
Well, to be honest.
Are you not? What are you not happy with then?
Well, that we didn't give them consent to search.
Right, and I've told you that
sovereign human bodies
and you
without
don't
our
need.
Consent.
We have.
So you're saying that
power.
we've got no human rights?
I'm saying under that particular, you don't have to consent to it.
What's an act? If you don't have to consent to it, what is an act? An act is let me tell you again. Listen, an act of Parliament. Yeah, it's a legislative rule giving the force of law through consent of the governed. Consent. Do you know what consent means?
Yes.
Right. So, if I don't consent, then how does he have the power to search me?
Because he does.
Because he does.
That's not answering the question, though.
Because he does. Where's the authority there? There's no authority because he does.
Well, you go and look it up.
I've already looked it up. Do I not know what I'm on about here?
Clearly not. I'm clearly not following. I'm telling you, we've got a power to do that.
What's your name, please?
Inspector Carson.
Yeah. Right. So I think there's a bit of conflict of interest going on.
Are you honouring your oath today?
I'm what, sorry?
Are you honouring your oath today? The oath that you took out when you become a police officer?
I hope so.
Well, I don't think you are because you're not standing under common law.
I don't think you're acknowledging anything we're saying to you today.
I think it's a conflict of interest.
I think there's a conflict of interest.
I really do.
Right, so what do you want me to do?
I would like an external.
We need an external to do this externally. Cause, I mean, for all we know, this officer that we're talking of, he could be your best buddy. You could go to his wedding and you could live next door to each other.
You're not going to take a complaint.
You're not taking it seriously.
Well, I'm taking it seriously.
You're not. Because I'm asking you simple questions and you can't give me. You're not answering us.
No, because you're going off at a tangent.
I'm just asking you simple questions. It's a simple question.
No, the question is, do I believe the officers have a right to do this? And I'm telling you yes,
and that's what you believe, right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm not on about that. You
But
answered that question. The
yeah,
question I asked
so
you
that's
was
what
about
you're here
acts,
for, isn't it? So that
I'm
is what
talking
you're
about
here
the law,
for.
not.
We're talking about the law.
Yeah, but so you're going off at a completely different tangent. You are now
because-
not talking about
because
what
he
you
was
come
not-
here to
he
talk
was not-
about specifically.
I've
was not-
come here specifically to talk about everything, and it has
Right,
everything
well,
to do with the law.
unfortunately,
This because
well, I don't have
he's
time to
breaking
sit
it.
here and talk generally about all of the
It's
laws.
not general.
And all
I've come to make a
procedures.
complaint, haven't I?
Yes, you have. Yeah.
And I'm just getting some clarification on what pace is, what acts mean.
Because
and I think he's acted unlawfully.
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
he acted unlawfully.
Yes.
I didn't consent to that search.
Right.
Do you know the difference?
He told us he was
between
being
legal and
detained.
lawful?
I've got it all on film, by the way. He told us he was being detained. Then he told us we were free to go. And then when we went to walk off, he told us he'd changed his mind and was being detained again.
Right.
It was like, under what law are you detaining us? And he went under common law. Went right.
Yeah.
Who have we caused loss, harm, or injury to? Come on, Richard, we're going. And we left. But we've been detained, so why are we leaving if we've been detained? He's telling us he's detaining us, but then he's letting us leave. Why would he do that if he's detaining us?
Well, I thought you just said he searched you.
He did search us.
So he did detain you then.
No, but then he still said we was being detained. When PC Clever Clogs came up and started being clever. You know what I mean? I've got it all on film anyway, so I mean I want to do something about it, definitely.
Right. Okay.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I will make a written record of your complaint. Clearly, if you are not happy with that complaint,
Can
is
you tell me-
resolved.
To be honest, I want it done. Yeah, I think.
Can you tell me the chief inspector's name, please?
Yes, there's two. There's Adagabembo and Jenkins.
Can you write them down for us so we can contact them? Because that's to me is an external contact.
Well, they're not, are they? Because they're the police officer.
Well, yeah, but
But they will surely help us.
they might ask. They might answer our questions.
Okay.
I'm not being rude, right, but I just
No,
think you're
we're
only just
peaceful
picking
men.
and choosing what you want to answer.
Well, yeah, because I want it to relate to your issue is
It
around
is.
this search this
It
morning,
is.
and that
It's
is
all
what I've
related.
How is
answered.
law and acts not related to what we've been stopped for? He was
Because I've told you what you've been stopped for, but you just wanted to
But we haven't
carry
been
it
stopped
on.
for breaking
carry
the
it
law,
on. What do you mean carry it on?
have we?
Right.
What do you mean carry it on? What does that?
Because you're not willing to accept, we've had the conversation around what you've been stopped for.
Yeah.
You're wanting to
haven't
carry on
answered
in a
any-
different direction.
No,
We're talking
it's
about
all
a
the same.
specific case that's
Yeah.
happened this morning,
Yeah.
but you're not
It's all
wanting
about
to do
law
that.
and acts. That's what we're talking
Yeah, and I've given you section under which you've been stopped, and
Yeah,
I've told
but
you
you
the
wouldn't
officer
explain
was
what an
acting
act was
lawfully.
today, which I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Why wouldn't you explain to an act to me?
What? And then you've repeated twice what an act is, so you're asking me questions that you already know
I
the
just
answer
wanted to
to.
clarify
twice.
it for me. That's what I
No.
wanted.
It's
Well-
just clarification.
You don't need me to.
And I wanted you to
Well,
you don't need me
clarify
to.
your pace. Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Ridiculous.
But what I don't understand is if a police officer stops you under an act or something, surely he's got to know what he's talking about to stop you.
Yep.
Is
Well,
that
I
not
don't
the case?
think any of them know, mate. I think they just make it up as they go along.
No, it's a true
To be
thing.
fair.
It's
Well, you told me
It's
what
ri-
you stopped you under.
Yeah.
yeah, under an act which is under consent. If
You
not
acted
giving
unlawfully.
consent, unless you're breaking the law, which you wasn't breaking the law.
Well, you look it up online.
I've
What?
looked to you.
What do we need to look up?
Breaking from 11th house.
I already know.
Well,
I want a clarification off you.
and I've given you it. You
Yeah.
have power to do it.
You do, it's a big consent. So what happens now then? You have to write a report out, yeah?
Yeah, I'll
I don't
take
think you will.
a
will
re-
you?
No, she will. She'll have to, mate.
I think it is. a
You just
conflict.
I don't.
automatically think I'm not going to do it.
Well, I don't
It
think
doesn't
you are
really bode well, does it,
because-
for a start?
Because of the way we've been speaking, and you just.
I
all
thought it was
against
quite
us.
fair
I
with you, to
thought-
be honest. I
to
mean,
be-
I haven't been rude, and
yeah,
I
I mean, I
don't
haven't been
want to come
rude, and
across as
I
rude.
don't want to
No.
argue. I just thought that the police were public servants.
Yeah.
You're
They're
to help
to aid
us.
the public to help us,
And you've
and that
asked
is.
me a genuine question,
and
do I
nobody's
think it
helped
was
us.
lawful? And I said yes. What else
You
can I
keep
say
saying
to
that
you?
about the questions that you did answer, but you're not saying about the questions. We know you answered them questions, but you didn't answer some questions for us.
But the question is about you being searched today in the town centre. That is what this is about. It's not
And that's an
about
act.
policing from the
So
road
it's
tax.
about acts as well. We're talking about acts today, not just the guys who are searching us in town. This is about acts and laws and statutes.
Right. But
So-
anything you need to know law-wise, go and look it up. I don't know the answer to every single law-based question. I wish I did. It'd be fantastic.
You know what an act is, though, don't you?
Do you know the difference between an act, a statute, and lawful?
Yeah, of course she does, mate. Look at the tips on the shoulder. Thank you. Listen, thanks a lot. And I'll be hearing from you soon then. Yeah, you've got my number.
You can give it the counter.
Yeah, got my phone number.
Yeah.
Will it take
Thanks for
long?
your time.
Will it take long? Well, what I'll do is I'll clarify with the officers what's occurred.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can give you a ring and tell you I don't think that's going to be any different to what we've already talked about. And then if you're not happy, then you'll have to write to the Independent Police Complaints Commission.
Can I get a copy? Yeah, can I get a copy of their statements and stuff like that they make, and the log of the phone call that you got from the bank as well?
Yeah, you're quite
I think
right.
you have to request it under the Freedom of Information
Freedom of
Act.
Information Act, yeah,
Yeah.
right, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I just do this at the desk?
I don't know.
I'll find out anyway, but I'll tell you, I'll put it up.
Alright.